Hey guys, it's Beth, and I'm here today to say that I'm done. Oh, I'm so happy, so excited to be done. But I finished the Christmas and winter papers from the All Seasons 3 pad. Oh, so happy to be done. And thank you to everybody who sent me all the crafty mojo, the crafty thoughts, and the support, because it helped. I felt it all, and I was able to trek through these so much faster than this last set. So thank you guys so much for all your support and encouragement. Okay, so I started with the Christmas papers. And the first thing I had done was cut, remember the red and white striped bows I showed you last time? I also did some black and cream and red striped ones. Actually, they were the first ones I cut because I used this little bitty brad first and then realized that it needed something more, so switched to the bigger brads. And then I ended up getting a total of 35 cards out of this paper, and again, they're all A2 size cards. And I apologize, the girls are home today running up and down the stairs, so you'll probably hear my girls in the background. But the first sketch I used, or one of the sketches I used, was My Favorite Things sketch number 247, and used some black cardstock as my card mat on this one, and then just did some cream layers, and I feel like they look pretty sharp. The colors kind of pop. I got a bunch of those. And then this is My Favorite Things sketch number 331. And then this one again, I used black as my card mat, and then just kind of used a patterned strip here, and I was going to mat it on some cream just to help it stand out a little bit, but then realized that the cream would kind of get lost on that Season's Greetings pattern paper there in the middle. So I found some thin gold washi tape in my daughter's stash. They're always stealing from me, so I decided to steal from them this time. But I just liked it because it was nice and thin, just kind of helped highlight that little strip. Adds a little shimmer. And then this Merry Christmas I actually printed from my silhouette, because at one point I was trying to get some sentiments, a bunch of sentiments done faster. This is Mojo Monday sketch number 383. Just using some of the scrap pieces I had at the time. And again, this is also a silhouette sentiment. And I used a ton of stamp sets on these 2 rounds of cards that I did, so I'm not going to share with you all of the ones I used. Some of them I don't even have the names for anymore anyway, because the packaging tore a long time ago. And then this sketch doesn't have a name either, but I will link it in the description box below, so you will still be able to go find it if you would like to use it. Just used some of the scraps that I had, and then I did go in my stash and find some gold glittered cardstock scraps, and so I just used a scalloped border punch to give me kind of like that scalloped edge on the bottom. And then the next one is Sunday Sketches number 4. And used 3 different patterns on this one. I used one for my card mat, one for the strip, and then one for the center piece. And then the snowflake that I used for the strip was already that size. I didn't even cut it down this way. I just cut it to fit the front of the card. Got a bunch of those. This is Sunday Sketches number 12. Very simple. Again, just used whatever size strip I had of that snowflake, and then I used that pretty black ornament paper. It's my mat. And another one of those pretty Merry Christmas sentiments from my silhouette. This is My Favorite Things sketch number 352. And this one I just covered the whole front of the card with the black striped. And then I had to pull in some plain red cardstock, which I don't love the 2 reds together, but I think they're okay. This is Operation Right Home sketch number 116. And I really like this one. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the combination, but it's probably one of my favorites that I did, and just used scraps for it. So just used 3 different patterns on there, and then added my Merry Christmas here, because the sketch didn't, they probably thought you could do the sentiment here, but I wanted to use my pattern paper up. So just added my little sentiment there. And then the last sketch I used, I believe, is Operation Right Home number 145. And this one I used some red glitter washi. And I actually backed it on some cream cardstock just to kind of help it stand out from that black a little bit, or just to help it transition, make it a softer transition. This is a little scalloped or fancy tag, whatever you want to call it, fancy label, I guess, that I cut from my silhouette and then just stamped Happy Holidays in gold ink. I tried to use gold embossing powder, but the gold embossing powder I had, it wasn't like a smooth gold. It had like different flecks, like flecks of different shades of gold, and I didn't like how it looked on this for some reason. So I just went back to just my gold ink. And then I have a bunch of cards that I was just using the scraps on. I have these, which I used the My Favorite Things collage cover-up die on. I haven't used that in a while, so I decided to pull that one out and just put some of my strips that I had in to cut out the little squares. Obviously I had a lot of that black stripe. And then I also used another collage kind of die, and this one is kind of like a quilted star kind of look, and I got this one off of Amazon. I will link it below, but just did it kind of like a little star. And then just a bunch of cards where I was kind of piecing together some of the scraps just to make some card mats or elements. So again, use that thin gold washi tape. I like this one too. Very simple, but I like the look of it. Oh, that's just one. And then this one was just trying to use up some of those thinner strips. And this was actually a gift tag I'd gotten on, or someone in my family had gotten on a Christmas gift a long time ago. I saved the pretty tags, figuring I could use them as embellishments somehow, so I actually cut off the tag part and then just rounded the top corners so it looks more like an embellishment. So those were the cards. And then I also decided to do 2 more Hershey Nugget sets, so they're all ready to go. All I have to do when I get the Hershey's Nuggets is wrap them and put them in my little holder here, bag them, and add a topper. And I was thinking for these that it might be cute to have my little bows as a topper on these. We'll see. And then I got, how many tags? 18, I think. I did a bunch of little card, like mini card type tags. Some are 3x3, some are 2.5 by 2.5. It depended on the scraps that I had. So these, I actually had ones that I could mat and then make them little 3x3 cards, whereas these were smaller, and so I just cut them to 2.5 by 2.5. This one I actually pieced 2 pieces together and then covered the gap with that glitter washi tape again. And then this one it was smaller, so I just did it on black and then rounded the edges to put some cream cardstock on the inside of that one. And then I did some more of those mitten and ornament tags, and I cut these at the same time I cut the bows. And so on this one I did my little cuff out of the red snowflake paper, just so it had a little more detail to it. And then I don't know, oh, there you can see some of the little glitter shimmer. These, it's funny because I matted all of these tags, these 4 tags, on some cream cardstock so that they would, be thicker. And when I was cutting the mats, I also cut down the little ornament topper here out of cream. And then when I went to put the tags together, I realized I should have done something other than cream so it looked prettier, would stand out more. So I was too lazy to send something back through my silhouette again, and so I just took that little cream piece and then used my gold ink pad and inked it up so that it looked more like a metal piece. And then I also added some Wink of Stella to the bigger black stripes on my little ornament balls, so those were pretty. And then I got a bunch of little tags out of scraps. So I just pulled out some embellishments that I thought might work from my stash. It's kind of a hodgepodge of things that I put on these tags, some poinsettias. And then the little holly leaves were actually a label. So there was a little white label that was attached here, and I just pulled the leaves and the gems off of the label and then used them as the holly leaves and covered up. This is actually a tag on a tag punch, and so I covered up the tag end of that. Then I had some little like silver foil stickers, kind of like outline stickers, so I just backed it with black cardstock and then fussy cut around it. Another one of those gifts. So just using up the scraps I had left as well as stickers or embellishments from my stash. And on the black ones I did add cream to the back so they can be written on. So that was everything from the last section of Christmas paper. Then I had the winter, like the craft colored and turquoise colored winter paper. So I did, a while back, I did another round of hot cocoa pockets, and I had done a bunch of these in the very beginning, but I decided to help me use up that paper, I'd do some more out of this winter paper. And I just used envelopes for these. I inherited a bunch of old envelopes from my sister's mother-in-law. I gave a bunch of them to Cards for Soldiers, but kept some of them that were good size just to fit a, packet of hot cocoa in. And so that's what I used here, just cut it down to be about 4 1/8, I think, by 4 1/8. And then decorated both sides with the pattern paper, kind of layered up some pattern papers on the front, and then just added a little sentiment that I printed from my silhouette. So I've got 4 more of those. And then I also decided that I would do some scrapbook pages to help me use up the paper faster. Plus, for my Crafty Goals that, in the Crafty Goals collaboration that I'm part of, one of my goals is to scrapbook at least 5 personal scrapbook pages every month. And I had done none of that this month. And then I also added a goal recently to finish scrapbooking my 2012 pictures by the end of 2019. So I'd done nothing this month to work towards both or either of those goals. So I decided to I used 1 full sheet of paper to make 2 pages, so it's like a 2-page layout. And my daughter's outfit, her little snow outfit's all pink and purple, so I didn't want to play off those colors. I wanted to use the neutral colors, and I also wanted to use some of these Cartabella Cabin Fever enamel shapes. And so because the tan and the cream worked, but then they also I was wanting to use the navy ones. So to keep it neutral, I kind of used like a really dark navy cardstock as the base for my page. And then I just took 1 sheet of the snow paper and cut it into 6 by 12 inch strips and did half on each page and then backed it on white to help transition. And then I just added like a little piece on each end also to help balance out, because I had done this page where I had the little 3.5 inch square pictures, and so then I added this to kind of keep the strip going. So I added one over here to help balance out the page. So I used the enamel stickers. There's a little grouping of them down here. There were a bunch more, but I wanted the ones that had just the navy and the tans, and I did end up with a little bit of red, and then I used a couple of them up here for this grouping. And then if you watched my video the other day from my Echo Park warehouse, goodies that I got in my box, I got this Cabin Fever stamp set as well. So I pulled it out and used it, so like the bundle up, the snowflakes, the sled, and then I added the snowman on this side to balance out with the snowman on the other side, and then used a bunch of the stamps just to kind of help fill in the page as well. And then I added a little one of the epoxy stickers. I used the inside of an O from this letter set and then added the snowflake to it. So that helped me use up like one full 12 by 12 sheet plus like a quarter of another sheet. So that helped it go a little bit faster. And then I ended up getting 20 cards out of this paper grouping. And I think there was 2 or 3 full sheets left, maybe 2 full sheets and a bunch of bigger scraps. I don't know. It's hard to, I need to like take pictures of what I start with, but I always forget and I just dive right in. So anyway, this is my favorite thing, sketch number 170. And again, tried to use the pattern paper as my mat whenever I could, and then just use little warm winter wishes. Like, you know, here the sketch had 2 strips, I just used 1, but I did, again, pull scissors from my daughter's side of the table, some of their little shape, or like the, what do you want to call it? They cut the different edges. My brain is like done. So I got a bunch of those cards. And then the next sketch I used is Freshly Made Sketches number 382. And again, just used my pattern paper for the mat and for the center. And then 'Tis the Season to Be Freezin' is from that Cardabella Cabin Fever stamp set that I just got. So it was like perfect timing on the Echo Park box. And then I have a whole bunch of cards where I was just using scraps and trying to piece together some card fronts. So here there's a couple of them where I did like a bigger piece here and then a thinner strip over here to make my card front, and then just used whatever I could find. Like here I pieced together some strips to give me my focal point and then added my sentiment. This one was just trying to use some of the scraps. Love this, I printed from my silhouette for something else and had one left. Here you can tell again, I pieced together 2 strips and covered the seam. And then here, like I didn't have enough to cover the whole card front, but I also didn't want to, I wasn't sure what color to go with for a card mat, so I just left the white border and covered my seam here again with that fishtailed strip. This one I actually, when I got done, I had one like full mat size piece, so I used that. And then this part, this is 2 different strips, and there was a big gap, so I just put a thick sentiment there. Here's another one. These 2, kind of pieced them together. And then when I was done and I was putting the scraps on the inside of my cards, I realized I had too many and there were a bunch of these big ones left. So even though I've been a little more willing to let the scraps from this pad go, these were very usable and I could easily do another card. So I did. And I pulled out a craft card base this time so that I could back my strips on white, and then just added 2 extra strips that were different sizes, kind of to anchor the corners of it, just to give it some more color in the background. So those were my cards, and then I got some tags from here as well. I did a couple more like little 3x3 card, mini card type tags. This one was kind of pieced together, a couple of scraps. And then this one was a full-size scrap, and then found a snowflake punch in my stash. And then I also just did some other little tags where I was using scraps. And there's that one. So I got 5 tags total. And then there's that one. And this one actually has a little vellum snowflake that I found in my punch stash. So I got through these 2 sections like in a third of the time, I think, than I made it through that last Christmas section. I don't know what was blocking me last time, but I'm done. I was so excited earlier this afternoon when I finished. No one else in my family seemed to care, so I had my own little dance party there for a minute, but oh, so ready to move on. Thanks again, you guys, for all of the crafty thoughts and support you sent my way over the last few days. I felt it, and I used the power for good to finish this pad off. And I hit my goal of finishing it, you know, by the end of August, and I still have like half a day to go. So again, I'm so glad I got my Echo Park box the other day, because I had another fall pad in mind, but when I was opening and going through the goodies, I decided to tackle this Fall is in the Air collection kit next, because I think it would be fun, and it's smaller, a lot smaller, because it's like 12 pages, they're double-sided, it's thicker paper, there's stickers and cut-aparts and things that go with it, so I'm super excited to use this. I haven't really had much time to think about how I want to use it, but I know that I do want to use it, and I have some other fall embellishments that I've gotten from Echo Park that I can probably partner with those. And then I'm also still finishing up this K & Company pad that I made all of those bookmarks out of. I punched out a lot of flowers and other shapes, so now I just need to finish piecing those together. So that is my plan so far for September, is to finish these two packs, and then hopefully there will be time. I can finish it with time enough at the end of the month that I can start something else, either another pad or card kit or something. It's just nice to be able to like move through things a little faster. So stay tuned for this week. I am going to do kind of a wrap-up video for everything that I got out of my All Seasons 3 pad. I haven't figured out how best to do it, because there's so much stuff, and there's a lot of big things that I got, as well as all the cards, so I'll have to think about that and figure out how best to tackle that one. So stay tuned for that, because I know I've complained about this, or whined about it, and it's nobody's fault but my own. Nobody was telling me, oh my gosh, you have to do this or else. It was totally me. I couldn't let myself quit. And so I know I've kind of whined about it a lot, but I really did get a lot out of this pad, and I got a lot of good things, and I did enjoy it probably up until this last couple weeks, because yeah, I thought I would be done long before now, and I wasn't. So now after this next video, you guys can hear me quit. You don't have to hear me talk about the All Seasons 3 pad anymore. But thanks for your patience as I worked through this pad. Thanks for the ideas, the support, all the crafty mojo, especially these last few days. And thanks for your time today, guys. And it's still Labor Day weekend, so I hope you guys are having a great holiday weekend and enjoying time with family and maybe finding time to craft. Thanks again, guys. We'll talk to you soon.